Hi guys, welcome to The Chase with AJ Baez. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this YouTube channel, why it's called The Chase, and why I decided to create this YouTube channel / podcast, and just the premise of what I'm trying to accomplish through this podcast. So just to give you a little bit of introduction, my name is AJ Baez. I'm from Selma, California. In terms of like my athletic background, I began wrestling at the age of 7. I joined wrestling because I was a pretty rough kid, so I did every sport of the main ones. I played soccer for a year. I played baseball. I played football. Football was actually the only other sport that I played more than 1 year besides wrestling. The reason why I stuck with wrestling was because originally I was tossed into wrestling because I was just too rough, and I liked fighting. So my dad was like, hey, you have too much energy and you're fighting too much. Let's put you in something that is right up your alley. So I joined wrestling. Thought I was just going to go in and just take over. That was not the case. I got my butt kicked for the first few years. And after some time, I decided that I loved it, and it bothered me. In regards to like sports psychology, I could even see it back then that I was just there was just this drive and this like determination in me to accomplish and to conquer, whatever was in my way. So I stuck with wrestling, started getting pretty good with it. In high school, I was a state runner-up, and then my senior year, I ended up placing 7th. From there, I wrestled in college. I stuck primarily with NAIA. I was a JC state junior college state runner-up, and then a 2-time placer at nationals for the NAIA. I took 5th and 8th. And I wanted to, first of all, I got into sports psychology because I love athletes, of course. Right after my college wrestling career, I started coaching at the college level out in South Dakota, Division II school, Northern State University, and I loved it. I fell in love with the sport, ended up moving back to California and decided that I wanted to pursue a career in sports psychology. So I have a few more months left of school, and then I'll be officially a graduate at John F. Kennedy University with a master's in sports psychology. The reason why I got into sports psychology, like I said, was I love athletes, and I wanted to figure out a way that I could help athletes mentally, and in some sort of like counseling way. And I found sports psychology, and I saw that JFK was really great at this program, so I decided to take that chance, and here we are almost 3 years later, and we're almost done. So I'm excited to get out in the field, and I'm excited to use the skills that I've learned these past few years. So with that said, why did I start this YouTube channel? So just to start off with the basics, it's called The Chase with AJ Baez. So that's actually the idea of The Chase is actually something that has deep roots in my wrestling career. So I would always tell myself, stay chasing, just because I always had this idea, and many athletes do, is that there's always more to chase. There's always greatness to chase, and this idea of being never satisfied and just always improving, always climbing, being humble, always understanding that there is someone better than you, but that it doesn't have to always be like that, and you can make minor tweaks, whether through your mental preparation or your physical preparation, that you could eventually rise up and chase your dreams, chase the things that you want to accomplish, and so forth. So the chase is it's based off of my athletic career, and honestly like my entire life, is just this idea of chasing, and understanding that you're gonna hit bumps in the road, understanding that you're gonna there's things aren't gonna always go your way, but that if you just keep consistent and you stay consistent, like, you're gonna accomplish a lot of great things in your sport and in life. So that's the premise of the title, The Chase with AJ Valles. So for me, primarily, the reason why I started this is because we live in an age of podcasts and YouTube, and for me personally, I love video podcasts. So I thought, how about have a video podcast? So yes, of course it is a YouTube channel, but I'm going to have guests, and in a bit I'm going to list off a few athletes that I have lined up for this project. But with that said, why this? What are we going to do? What are we going to discuss? So for me, as I look back on my career, we all heard the idea of when it comes to coaching is be the coach that you always needed, be the coach that you always wanted. So when I first heard that, and then when I finally got into college coaching and I got into, private lessons, etc., I started asking myself that question, like, what is it that I needed? What kind of coach did I need? What did I need to be better? Because for me, my ultimate goal every year was to be a national champion. My junior year of college, I was actually ranked number 1 in the nation. So I had that goal and I had the potential to get there, but it didn't happen. I ended up placing 8th that year. So cool, like, a lot of people think that's awesome, that's great, but in that time, I felt like a failure because I was like, I had so much projection, I had so much potential, and I ended up taking 8th. So I wasn't happy, and I had to really sit back and ask myself, when I became a coach, what went wrong? Why didn't I get that? And I started picking apart, my career, and the work ethic was there. But there was always something here. There was always something here that just, I couldn't shake. And whether it was anxiety, whether it was nerves, whether it was just this idea of just like self-talk or just unbelief, whatever it was, we won't go into the details right now. But I figured out that there was some stuff that we had to really sit down and talk about, and I didn't have anyone to talk about it to. Mind you, that's why I got into sports psychology, because I was like, okay, if I can't fix the past, I could help someone's future. So the things that I went through, and the type of coach and the type of things that I needed when I was an athlete, there is an athlete currently and in the future that needs what I needed. And even though I can't change my past, I can help their future, and I could be that person that I always needed. And I realized that through sports psychology. So that's my goal from this YouTube channel / podcast, is to discuss these issues, discuss issues of mental toughness, discuss issues of anxiety before games, before matches. How does family have an impact on you? Why do we freeze up? Visualization, imagining your matches, imagining your games, imagining shots, etc. These are all things that I never had a coach walk me through and help me. And in this channel, we will talk about that. We will walk through breathing techniques, visualization, reframing, self-talk. How are we talking to ourselves? Is it positive? Is it negative? How can we change that? So in this channel, we're going to discuss all these different things. We're also going to attack those deep issues. Obviously, I am not a counselor. and I am not a psychologist, so I'm not here to try to provide psychological or counseling advice, but we will have personal accounts of athletes talking about their personal experience with some athletes may talk about depression and how that affected them mentally in their sport. I'll share a little bit about my story when it came to wrestling through injuries and what that did to me. And there was one point in my sophomore year where I quit, and all the scholarships that I was offered, I was like, nope, I want nothing to do with it. No thanks. So I quit, essentially. What was going on in my head? Why did I do that? And there was some depression, there was some fear, and we'll have those talks, we'll have those conversations, and I as well as the athletes that I bring on to talk to will do our best to provide you with the resources that you need to seek deeper help, to dive deeper into these issues and to see what's going on. But this whole topic or this whole podcast is with this purpose of chasing greatness and chasing our best self, and doing everything that we can, making sure all our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, and just doing everything right. That doesn't mean that everything's going to go right, but we are going to provide whatever we can to make sure that every athlete is ready and prepared for whatever life throws at them, whether it's in their sport or it's off. I primarily focus on combat athletes, so wrestlers, jiu-jitsu guys, fighters, but I will have athletes on here that talk about other sports. So I'll actually give you a list of like our lineup. So this week coming up, I have an interview with Alyssa Soriano, who is a current college club coach. And the following week, I have another interview with Martin Adame. He's a former college soccer player, and he's a current fitness trainer with a focus on strength, building strength through injury. So that's a really good one that you don't want to miss, because we're going to be talking a lot about working through injury and what that looks like mentally and physically. In a few next month, I have an interview lined up with Javier Gonzalez. He's a current jiu-jitsu competitor that fights out of Millennia MMA in Los Angeles. I also have an interview lined up with Scott Griffin. He is a current jiu-jitsu practitioner that fights out of Autos, San Diego. So Autos is actually, if you don't know jiu-jitsu, Autos is currently the #1 ranked jiu-jitsu school in the world. So that's a really good, that should be a really good interview. And he's also currently training to become a fitness trainer with a focus on injury as well, especially realigning like your body, and like he's actually walked me through some like workouts to kind of straighten out my posture. So that's a really good one to tune into. And then I also have a lineup with a coach, Tim Hess, out of Newark High School in the Bay Area, and he's actually a college life coach. So a lot of like the mental skills that we will be talking about, he actually goes out and teaches it to other college athletes. So that's a really, really great one that you don't want to miss. So we have a lot of great athletes in the lineup for these interviews, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited that you're tuning in. And I wanted to do this because when I was struggling with my stuff, mentally, physically, as an athlete, I always felt like I wasn't alone. And as I got older and as I started talking to more athletes, I realized I was not alone, that there was a lot of athletes that were feeling just like me. And that's what I hope to accomplish through every episode, is letting an athlete know that they're not alone. And we're not just going to pat you on the back and say, hey, don't worry, you're not alone and it's all fine and dandy, because we know that's it's nice to get encouraged, but it's also nice to get applicable skills that you can use to improve your life, to improve your game, to improve overall your lifestyle and your choices. And with that said, I am so excited to start releasing these episodes. I thank you for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around and watching why I created this channel and what we're going to do with it. And I'm so excited. So stay tuned. And with that said, stay chasing, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.